Puerto Rican kid, bald head, loves snakes, loves Blizzy, Sergio Chacon.
Yeah. What up, Pop?
Peace. Welcome to the DBS podcast. It's your boy Sergio Chacon, aka Blizzy Chacon. That shit whack. I mean, it's always gonna be dirtbag shit podcast. The DBS podcast. Peace, and welcome to the DBS podcast.
Peace.
Yeah, it's your boy Sergio Chacon Show, Be Frank Network. We're here at Sound Lounge Studio. I'm here with my doggy dog, my boy K-Boogie. What's good?
K-Boogie, Kenny Fresh, for those that know me for a million years.
Yeah.
DJ Kenny Fresh.
DJ Kenny
K-Boogie.
Fresh. And you got the dope ass Smith & Wesson shirt on.
Yes, sir.
That's the original classic
The original
right there.
first album, The Shining. Yeah.
I mean, that's gotta feel super dope, being a hip hop fan, and then you get to work with these guys.
Yeah, I geek out all the time.
Yeah,
but Steel, I never tell Steel or even AG too. Like whenever we work together, it's like after we're done, we're like, yo, that was a crazy session with fucking legends.
That's what's up.
And then when I listen back to what we just produced, I'm like, oh yeah.
What's the most recent thing you've done with Smith & Wesson? Are they going by the Smith & Wesson or they're going by the Cocoa Brothers?
They're still Smith & Wesson.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because there was
I think
some
during
legal...
during the mid '90s, they had legal issues with the gun manufacturer, the Smith & Wesson.
It's appalling to me that Smith & Wesson, the gun company, is worried about a rap group named after them, rather than all the other bullshit that goes on.
Yeah. And then they had to go by Cocoa Brothers.
I hated that name.
Yeah, but they still kind of rock with that. Whenever they're performing, they'll do joints from that era, which are classics.
It was hard for me to go to Cocoa Brothers.
Yeah, and Steel still has like the CB medallion.
Okay,
he'll sometimes rock for video shoots and stuff.
Yeah.
It's dope, but
it's strange when any artist changes their name, and it's for legal reasons. Like you got the alias, you can have a bunch of alias, but when you're being pressured to change your name,
yeah, that's whack.
That's whack,
yeah,
yo.
Yeah, it's like the whole essence of hip hop is that rebellion, that fuck the system. It goes back to like when with the punk rock era. That's how hip hop and punk. They were like hand in hand during the 80s, the rebellion and being different and making something out of nothing, So having to change and say, because the legal says you got to change it, that's fucked up.
It's whack.
Yeah.
Hip hop has changed so much. But, in the 80s hip hop, the songs are like 15 minutes long.
Yeah. No, and it's funny because now that when we record any tracks, even with AG, it's like, we don't go past 2 verses. Because
even the old school heads.
Yeah, even we're not, because people's attention span is so different now.
It's so different.
They're not listening. Even if you're saying something really deep and really in depth, people are like, all right, so when's the next mix coming in, or when's the next track coming in?
Yeah, they're coming out with a remix
kind of vibe.
They're coming out with a remix while that one is being mixed down.
Right.
It's so fast paced. And short.
You're not, and it's funny because the other day I was listening to I think it was like Rakim. I think it was like I Ain't No Joke or something like that, and I know that album like from A to Z. I know the lyrics to every single track, and then after I was listening to I Ain't No Joke, I was like, man, that was like 3 verses, and I'm out of breath. And it's like, that's a lot.
You're like, with an asthma pump.
Yeah. I'm like, all right, stop with the lyrical wizardry, Rakim.
Yeah, I had the opportunity. 2013, my friend hit me up. He's like, yo, come to Drum. That's on Avenue A. You familiar with Drum? You ever worked there?
Yeah, we did a couple of shows. They're right on Avenue A, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he hit me up, and he was like, my boy is having a birthday party. Rakim is performing at his birthday. I was like, get the fuck out of here. Me, I'm being mad.
Right. And like Drum, you expect Rakim to be like at Barclays Center or something.
I just didn't believe it. I was like, yeah, he's not. And it was an intimate venue. There was maybe like 70 heads, and this dude did like 1 hour and 10.
Dope.
And he sounded just like he would on wax.
Yeah.
I mean, it was such a present, man. I was acting like it was my birthday. I found out. I was
Say
like that.
my name.
I was like, Rakim!
You
I
do
think I pulled a
requests.
titty out. I was like, Rakim! Hey, I was OD. Like I was
What rhymes with Sergio?
I was telling people, come on, man, good energy. Because
Right,
people were
right,
just
right.
standing like this. I was like, come on, man.
yeah.
I was hyped to shoot, bro.
That's funny, man.
Who have you worked with Rakim?
Nah,
That'd
man,
be dope.
wish.
Do you have like a bucket list of people you want to work with?
Yeah. For
So
me,
you worked
I
with
think,
Showbiz and AG.
Well, yeah. I mean, I haven't worked with Showbiz. I've worked alongside him. We've been at D.I.T.C a lot, but I've worked with AG. Worked with Smith and Wesson and Pudgy the Fat Bastard too.
Yeah.
That's my brother too. He's we're doing a lot of things with Pudgy because we're developing artists and we're working on his music and and speaking of Rakim, Pudge also worked on a bunch of projects with Rakim. So there's that like there's always that 1 or 2 degree of separation with like Rakim or somebody else who's on my list is Master Ace. I'd love to work with Master Ace.
Master Ace is great.
Yeah, he's super dope. And I would have loved to have worked on some stuff with Sean Price. That would have been,
I remember you.
That's right. You were
You produced
in a video.
Right.
Yes. So, Mr. Chicone played a b-boy in a video for Sean Price with Fortunato. Shout out to Fortunato.
A Canadian rapper, right?
Yes. For the song called "Don't Drink the Kool-Aid," I think it was called.
Yeah, good memory.
Yeah. Don't drink
Now,
the
did you
Kool-Aid.
produce just the video, or you did the beat as well?
Nah, just a video.
Yeah, so it was a dope video. I had fun. When K hit me up, I was like, hell yeah, I'll play the corny ass b-boy because I was
Right.
playing like a corny ass b-boy.
Right.
Right, so I had the Kango, I had the Adidas sweat
Adidas
outfit,
sweat.
yeah, and I was doing like whack ass knee spins and
Right.
And
in slow mo.
in slow mo on a hardwood floor.
Yeah.
And just check this out. So I had like b-boy glasses, like they might have been gazelles or some shit.
Yeah. And you had they had the Kangle, the fisherman
Yeah.
Kangle.
Yo, like Ghostface said,
Right.
Who wanna rhyme, who wanna battle the swordsmen that rock that fisherman hand like Gordon, that fisherman hat like Gordon.
And that was you.
Yeah. So I was playing a corny ass, b-boy.
B-boy, right.
And I went to put on the glasses, and I was like fumbling the glasses, and I poked myself in the eye.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And that's
right.
I wanted to play like a doofy character, but I really poked myself in the eye.
Yeah, I remember
Check
that.
this shit out. The following day, I was on the road doing shows in Jersey. That shit gave me pink eye. I had pink eye at the show. I was like this.
Wait, where did you have those glasses before?
Probably my asshole. I don't know, because they were gross and dirty. Yeah, I don't know, bro.
Damn.
Yeah, I had pink eye. I went to
Wow.
a fucking show.
Well, you'll never forget that video.
Yeah, dogs. So I go. You ever had pink eye?
I think I did. Yeah, probably.
It feels like
when I
a
was in
rock
high
was like a
school.
pebble was in my eye.
Oh wow.
And I'm performing in front of like 12 people, like in Tom Rivers, New Jersey, on a carpet with pink eye.
They're probably like, you fit right in.
Yeah, you fucking degenerate.
Shout out to Jersey.
Yo, Jersey, stay on that dirtbag shit. I was in Atlantic City this past weekend. It is a skeleton of what it used to be.
Yeah, and before it used to be, pretty much skeleton like.
Yeah, so imagine.
Yeah,
So it was already on
wow.
some. It was already on
Like the
some
boardwalk
crackhead
must
shit.
have been like.
So yeah, it was already on some crackhead shit. Now COVID hit, and also it's also
Tumbleweed.
supreme dirtbag shit.
Wow.
I knew it was like super dirtbag
Yeah.
when I went for a run on the boardwalk, right? And there was a woman. She had missing limbs. She had like a stump, smoking a cigarette in a wheelchair, a mechanical wheelchair, speeding like this, smoking a cool, speeding like that.
And they don't give a fuck. They just go.
She stopped, turned the cigarette off on her nub like that. I was like, that woman right there has all the answers.
Yeah.
Seriously, like
Wow.
people who've been through some shit. If
Yeah.
I was to ask her, Miss, what's your name? She would be like, Dorothy. Now, what the hell do you want? I would ask her.
want to be loved.
Exactly. I just want to be loved. And this fucking guy broke my heart. And she
that so wrong?
right. And she would, if I was to ask her,
Thug
Dorothy,
life.
do you think it's
Thug life.
Yeah, do you think it's too late for me to get braces? You think I should get braces? She's like, your teeth are disgusting. Get some braces. She would have given me an honest answer. That's what I'm saying.
She's like, and I think they still have, was it Zoltar or whatever? You know, the genie. They still got those machines on the
Tom
boardwalk,
Hanks'
right?
first movie shit.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
It's funny because we never really did Jersey justice, but wifey and I, we used to go there only during winter when the hotel rates were really cheap. So I think it was through Groupon. We got 2 times we did Trump Taj Mahal.
Oh, look at you!
Yeah,
supporting the
Yo,
dirtbag.
we got like the Godfather Don suite. It had like a gazebo inside. It had a massive hot tub. It had like the button phones in the bathrooms. There was probably like 2 bathrooms, but like full bathrooms. It was insane, and we got it for dirt cheap.
Wow, the pillowcases had Trump's hair on the end of it.
Yeah, they were nicely combed every night.
This blonde hair on the end of the pillows.
That hotel was already, man. It felt like time had just stood still in those rooms, man. Because you can tell the walls used to be white, but now everything's yellow. That like
because you used to be able to smoke indoors.
Yeah, and the windows you could tell that they used to open like all the way.
Yeah, it's good
But
suicide windows.
Yeah, but now they're all locked and they got padlocks.
That's exactly the windows I had. Isn't that weird? I went to and I was like, let me see how these are suicide windows, and they were all bolted in.
Yeah, it was different times for sure, and even like looking back like that back in that era, we never had car seats. Like just I was just thinking about that like.
Your car seat was your mother's lap.
Yeah, like I even have a little inside joke with my mom that that the way that I would try to get into the front seat with her, and I was probably like 3 years old, is I would hug her while they were driving and then kiss her and then bring my leg over her. So that means, and I'm like, oh wait, so does that mean that I wasn't in a car seat when I was doing that? It's like, no.
She's smoking a cigarette looking at you.
Right?
Like,
Yeah. Well, she was pregnant with my brother, so I probably wasn't doing that. But
right.
Who knows? No, just kidding, Mom. Damn,
I don't think my mother my mother was good. I don't think she smoked cigarettes while she was pregnant for me, but she definitely did heroin. So
okay. Oh, okay. Thank God she didn't smoke.
Yeah, smoke is disgusting.
Yeah, that's horrible. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So Atlantic City's on some dirtbag shit.
Yeah.
And I listen. I embrace the seediness. I kind of, I'm entertained by it because
but it's nice though, because you have all of the boardwalk to yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And I also, when I'm around dirtbags like that, it just reminds me how good I'm doing in my life. So it's a good, comparison. Like, oh yeah, look at this piece of shit.
It's like watching reality TV.
Yeah.
You're just like, oh man, we got it good, man. 90 Day Fiance, y'all, some bullshit.
Yeah, it's like, this is my entertainment. Entertain me, you peasants. I felt like a peasant today because I took the bus to see you, and I had a mask with all the fabric pieces coming out, and I was just like, scratching my
and you
nose.
got the black one, and now those are always the ones that I see like on the streets. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, people just throw those disposable ones, right?
Yeah, I got like 100 for 99 cents.
In the box, right? From the bodega, right?
Yeah, I don't know where Liz gets it from. She probably gets it from China.
Probably.
And China stay on that dirtbag shit. Down the road.
Yeah, they're like, hey, you know what? We're gonna provide everybody with all these masks and shit. We're gonna make a killing.
Yeah,
no pun intended.
After they sent us the virus, they're like.
Speaking of pun, would have loved to work with them too, but that's
right. Big pun.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but China, we're gonna get to big pun. But China just hit us with the virus, and here's the mask. Mm-hmm. And then if that doesn't get you guys,
they got a vaccine. You know that, right?
No.
In Chile, because my family's all in Chile. My mom and dad got the Chinese vaccine.
What is that? I feel like it's setting me up.
Yeah, I'm not. I swear.
What's the vaccine?
It's I don't know. I forgot what it's called, but it's like I can't remember what it's called. But when they told me, the vaccines, whenever they started rolling out, like back maybe a couple of months, they were like, yeah, I think we're gonna get the Chinese one. I'm like, the Chinese one? Like, why the fuck would you get the Chinese one? Like, how does that make sense?
That is funny.
Chile and China has like trade agreements with a bunch of countries in South America, so they're like electronics, pharmaceuticals, and viruses, I guess. So so they got the Chinese vaccine.
I didn't know they had a vaccine.
Yeah, and I'm like, I don't even trust Pfizer. Why would you trust the Chinese one?
I got Johnson & Johnson. I was talking about it in my last episode.
I got
one
Moderna.
Yeah.
Nothing so far. Nothing so far. So
I feel good.
Oh wait, it can't have legs, right? Is that what it is?
Is that what it is?
I
I don't
think so.
know.
I don't know.
This is compressed wood. That's not real wood, my
right.
friend.
right.
Some old school Frank Leela construction worker.
Right. It's like, hey, what do you going to say? Like, what is
Mahogany,
what is
oak.
mahogany?
Who wants coffee? Anybody want coffee? A lot of those guys came out talking about, I don't want to wear. I'm not wearing a fucking mask.
Oh yeah.
Whoa. I did a couple of shows in South Jersey, like I said, Atlantic City.
Right.
And I told them, I was talking about how I got the vaccine. They were like, whoa. They were backing up.
Really?
As if I fucking.
Like you're getting into their political and religious
Yo,
life.
yeah,
It's like,
whoa,
just asking you about the
whoa.
mask. That's all I'm doing. Right.
Yeah. Big pun.
Yeah, man.
He would have been great to work with. You think so?
I work with Chris.
Oh, his
Yeah,
son?
Yeah. Beast.
Yeah, I like his son. You know what I like about his son is that he's not trying to ride off
Emulate.
his father's fame or.
That was one of his big things when he first came out. Like, even just going under the name Chris Rivers, he always wanted to be his own person, and he still is. But I think to a certain extent, you can't separate yourself from who your father was, especially when they know who your father was, and he's a beast. Like
He's very
it's-
talented.
It's not like, I don't want to shit on anybody, but there's other major rappers' sons that are out
And they.
that
They
they're
stink.
yeah, they're whack.
Well,
right?
listen, he is courageously creative. He does things that sound like that are his own sound.
Right.
He's an original act.
And he doesn't just do like boom bap stuff. He does all kinds of like experimental, like
That's what I'm
fast
saying.
tempo, slow, everything. He does everything, and he's really versatile. And he just tries to do his own thing. But I think it's just in his DNA that he just can't not flow and be lyrical like his father. It's just bananas. Like when you hear his own lyrics, obviously his original lyrics, you're like, that shit's crazy. How
What do
you
they
came up
call
with
it
that?
when they connect like a verse?
Mm-hmm.
What's that called? That it? Or what is it?
When they connect it?
Yeah. So let's say someone's spitting a verse. Let's say I got one verse.
Come on, freestyle.
Yo,
Remember, we were supposed to work on some shit.
Oh God. Yeah, I secretly want to be a rapper, and I'm 41 years old with salt and pepper in my beard, and my daughter, 9 years old, Charlie, she tells me it's not gonna work.
He's
It's
like,
not
put the
gonna-
mic down.
Yeah, just cut it out.
Yeah,
You're embarrassing me. Because I go hard with the towel on after the shower. It's like that.
Like,
Vein
go
popping
right.
out.
Right.
Not making any sense. I can't catch a beat for the life of me.
Really?
So-
yeah, that's what you told me. Sorry, go ahead.
So, Pun, he was a heavy guy, and he could barely.
because his apnea.
Yeah. So how would they connect that? Because
Like when they're recording and how you.
Right.
It's basically called punching.
punching.
Right.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
So he
you
had
would
to
do
punch
like
his
one
shit a
verse
lot.
like da 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 da. All right, cut.
'Cause
and
he
then-
needed a
and then-
break.
And then we bring it back a couple of seconds. And then he'll come in right at the end of the da da da, and then he'll keep on going. So it
So
sounds like it's
Pun
one
must have had a lot of
continuous-
punching. I saw him live one time, and the guys were helping him, but he was still a beast.
Yeah,
but he was
yeah,
a very
yeah.
big guy, and
You
they were
know-
throwing water on him. That bugged me out because he was in the middle like this with his short on. He's like, that in the middle, Italy, and they were throwing water on him like to keep him. I just like threw water at you.
Yeah, right.
And I just remember that it was at a club called Vinyl, and once again, it was an
Wow,
intimate
okay.
spot. It was like 1998.
Wow.
I don't even think he dropped his first album.
That's
And he was
crazy.
like in the middle like that, and they were all doing the verse with him.
Right.
And
Yeah.
it was a sight, man.
That was like near the end though, because when he was already like massive and.
yeah. So he might have dropped his first album already. I don't remember, but it was he was big.
He was already big.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, when he did "I'm Not a Player," he was already a pretty big dude. Yeah. So, but I think from what I've seen just in like documentaries and stuff, I think he goes at least a couple of bars before they cut. But you can still hear the breaths like in with no cuts. Like he'll go, he'll hear the. So if it was a punch in, they probably would have cut that out. I'm just from an engineer perspective.
Interesting,
you know.
yeah.
So I'm pretty sure he went.
I mean
nonstop.
that dude was so talented,
Yeah.
and it was so short lived. I mean, it's 2 albums.
Yeah, it's such a shame that just recently so many rappers like major artists are just dropping like flies. But it's because they don't take care of themselves. You know, a lot of times they don't. It's excessive. You know, it's a good lifestyle. They say, or no, what do they say? In Spanish they say, "Buena vida, poca vergüenza." So it's like, the good life, but no shame. You know, like they just
Yeah, it's easy to get caught up.
drugs, drinking, get caught up in all that stuff, and it's a shame.
Yeah, I always say that rappers have the lifespans of Great Danes.
Yeah, they grow. They're big, and beautiful, but they got heart problems. They got leg problems.
What's interesting is like now I see all the rappers like that we came up with, and some of them are getting healthy. Like Method Man, his Instagram is filled up with just him lifting weights. There's nothing.
You've seen Melly Mel?
He's always been big.
Yeah, but he's like
an ox.
Yeah,
like Tookie Williams, the Crips leader.
He's like what's the owner of the MMA?
Lesnar?
No, the dude that Sean Price would kind of like not emulate.
Kimbo Slice?
Kimbo Slice. He was like Kimbo Slice. He's like he just he can't turn his neck without.
Yeah, it's like no mobility.
No, it's all muscle. That's Melly Mel.
He's been big, and he actually did a celebrity fight against Willie D. From the Ghetto Boys.
From the Ghetto Boys?
I believe so. I believe
that doesn't surprise me.
But like back in like 1990, Willie D's a tough motherfucker.
Yeah,
he used to box.
Yeah,
and he's
he's a big dude.
He's a big dude.
Tall too.
Yeah, and he's an ex.
He's still with us.
Yeah,
I think he's still alive.
Yeah, he's actually doing. He's one of these acts that kind of reinvented himself too. He's on social media, but it's a little. I like him. He's very pro-black. But it's almost like his clips are like Sean King. Like I'm like, dude, did you just rip that from a Sean King post and just redo it?
Yeah.
And the thing is, on the internet, it's like outlaw season.
Yeah.
So a lot of people with this, But I like his. I enjoy his platform. He says some funny shit. I've always enjoyed the work of the Ghetto Boys.
Yeah.
So you work with mostly East Coast rappers. What would you say you do more of? You do more of the producing, or it's like a mix, the engineering? What would you say your fit is? Or you kind of you just like you wear many hats?
I think I kind of do the same equally, because if I produce, then I engineer it. Like especially if they're my own projects, then I'll take it from A to Z. So I'll produce it, I'll rearrange it, and take the artist to the studio, record it, I mix it, I master it. And then distribute it.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's kind of hard to separate it, because you're already so invested in the project that you're like, all right, well, if I can do it, then why don't I do it? Why would I send it out to somebody else to do it? If I got skills, I got skills.
What's your feeling on like music right now? The fact that we could create so much on our own. That's an awesome thing for entertainers to have. I mean, there's pros and cons to it. I would like to your insight on that. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, I mean, music production is so democratized now that everybody, can have access to like FL Studio or, any what's called a DAW, with a digital audio workstation. Anybody can make beats in their bedroom now. Everything's so portable and compact. But as far as the production, for a while, it was the production that was being really lazy. So when trap kind of came out, or like the 808 stuff kind of started to come back, and all the beats started to sound the same, and you're like, oh man, all these tracks sound the same, but the artists were still kind of different. But now everything's the same. Beats, cadence, the artist. I can't tell, little baby, no, little whoever from little whoever.
Yeah, even their names are very similar. It's like everything is little.
Yeah,
and there's like 7 babies.
Right. That's why I know there's the baby.
There's little baby.
There's I don't know how many other babies.
Yeah, there's a lot of little.
Yeah, but to me, I mean, it's not my generation, so like I can appreciate certain music, but it's just it's not for me, and I get that. Like I try not to critique the some of the music, but it's hard because a lot of it's garbage. But that being said, I try not to, because it's not for me. I'm not doing the all the dances, and it's not.
Yeah,
I'm not
I
from
feel the
TikTok
same way.
era.
There was a time when I would react to it in a negative way, and now I just realized, oh, I'm 20 years older than these guys.
Right.
This is
I can just switch it to Shade 45, or to LL Cool J, or or to whatever other radio, even like the regular FM radio, like Hot 97s, and I'll be like, next.
Yeah.
I'll listen to BLS.
This is not the first time I'm saying this. Yeah, I know. I mean, I'll listen to BLS before I listen to any of the newer stuff.
Yeah.
And there's some new joints that I do enjoy.
BLS has some dope shit on Saturday mornings, I think, or Sunday mornings, from like 8 in the morning till 10. They got like some experimental kind of lo-fi kind of beats and stuff. And I was like, I think I was heading out to some studio, and I was like, oh shit, this is kind of dope.
It's nice when you discover something like that.
Yeah. Because I was flipping through, because obviously all I hear is this all that other shit, and then I heard this lo-fi shit. I'm like, oh shit, that's BLS.
I always say, in comparison to like the music that we grew up on, and that's the golden era of hip hop. There's no doubt it's the golden era.
Yeah.
And somebody, I forgot who, Steve Stout said something interesting on the Drink Champs, which, by the way, you look like the co-host of the
I
Drink
do. I
Champs.
get that.
Yeah,
he's
guy
like
from
my
Miami.
doppelganger, apparently.
What's his name? DJ
Effin?
Effin.
Yeah,
I was going to say DJ AM, but DJ AM is an angel now.
Yeah.
I love DJ AM.
He was dope.
He was dope.
Yeah.
So Steve Stout was on the show, and he said there's not like a 10-year benchmark of the best music. It's 3 years. And for hip hop, it was really 93 to like 96.
Yeah, because even KRS, when he was saying that hip hop isn't even 50 years old, and that was back in 89, 88, 89.
50 years down the line, you can start this, because we'll be the old school artists.
And back then, you're like, oh yeah, 50 years from now, nah, man, but it's been 30 years. And
It's still very young, though.
And you still think like, wow, KRS said that, and he's still around, still lyrical. He can murder anybody on the mic, except Rakim. That's debatable. But you look back and you start thinking, well, yeah, like what's that milestone, or what's the benchmark of, what's old school? Like, for me, old school was, Spoonie G and even UTFO. Roxanne, like that shit to me was like, it's still, when I was like probably 10 years old, I was
old school to me is when they dressed like robots and they
the Renegade.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
And the songs are 13 minutes long. That's
right.
old school to me.
Planet Rock, all that shit,
Right.
And that was already old school, which was, when I started calling it old school, it was probably like 6 or 7 years old. And now, you look back at even Smith & Wesson, like this album, people are like, this is old school now. And to me, that
and that's a
blows my mind.
classic ass album.
Of Black Moon.
So this is what I say. East Coast rappers in the 90s. You had Smith & Wesson, you had Nas, you had Mobb Deep.
Go with the clicks. Go with the
And
clicks.
they all
you
sound-
have Boot Camp Click. You have Smith & Wesson, Helter Skelter, Black Moon, and then you go digging in the crates. You have Showbiz and AG, Fat Joe, Diamond
Lord
D, Lord
Finesse, Big L.
Big L, Cellar Dwellers. Like, I have like Party Artie. Like, you had so many people, and then you have other crews like from that era, Wu-Tang.
Wu-Tang.
You had
You
Artifacts.
Then you have Biggie.
Right. Right, you have all of the
And that's
the bad
just
boys.
East Coast. And
Right.
they all sounded so different from one
Different.
another.
Different.
And then you go to the West Coast, you had Snoop.
Yep.
You had
Snoop,
MC8.
yeah, and then you go up to Oakland. You're right. You had
Too Short.
Who was big from Oakland back in the day? Like
Above the Law.
right. Wow. Above the Law. Yeah. And everybody sounded the
Texas,
same.
Ghetto.
Ghetto Boys. Yep.
So during that time,
Or even
everyone had
bringing it back to the. Actually, where's Paris? Do you remember Paris?
What,
Devil Made Me Do It.
not Parrish Smith.
No, Paris. Just Paris.
No. Not sure what that
He was kind of like real on a real like militant tip. He's like Pete Dog with the gift from heaven, Tempo 116.7, and he was always talking about like Allah and like the 5%ers and
Right.
like early and for me I never really understood that until I was older, but that's a whole other story. But he was on like some real Public Enemy type of vibe, like. But I think he's an East Coast artist. I can't can't
The
remember.
name sounds somewhat familiar.
We'll Google it. We'll Google it.
Yeah, that name sounds somewhat familiar.
Yeah, Google him, and he was on some really deep shit. You should check him out.
Yeah.
Paris.
I see, and that's the thing, man. So, and I'm on the same.
Wait, and sorry, let me interrupt you.
No.
West Coast, if we're talking about the 90s, don't forget about hieroglyphics.
Hieroglyphics, yeah.
Hieroglyphics, man. You're talking about like Souls of Mischief, Casual. Who else is in? I want to say Del the Funky Homo Sapien. Like all those dudes had such a different, unique sound too.
That's
But they're
exactly
from
right.
like the Bay Area.
I see, and that's the thing. I feel like we don't get that now.
Yeah, everybody sounds the same. Like
So-
you can't pinpoint a sound like like you were saying. It's
Yeah,
like,
and I think that changes. I think we're just going. We're in a place where it's driven by currency. And people are more motivated by the fact that, oh, if I get a hit like this, specific sound, and the record labels have always been trying to do that.
right.
They always
right.
been trying
it's
to do
always
that.
whatever's hot. Because
Exactly.
right now, I've been saying for a minute that it doesn't take much talent to make it in the industry. You just need, it's like when you hear a lot of shit over and over and over and over again, you're like, that shit starts to taste good. Like it's not, it's not as bad as I thought it was. It's because you hear it all the
It
time.
conditions you.
Right. So, the fact that there's so much volume out there, and in going back to what we said before about the democratizing of, music production or recording, like everybody can record a demo in, their homes. Like there's just so much music out there and it all sounds the same now. And like you said, what labels are looking for is like, what's hot? That's what's hot. And that's what's still driving that sound.
Across the board, we're just experiencing that as human beings. We're getting that in every form of entertainment, right? The only thing what's interesting about it is that we the entertainers, the composers have a lot of liberty, but the volume is so high.
Right.
But you do have the liberty. You see the same thing with stand up. It's just like it could be the equivalent of a mumble rapper who just did something that sounds like someone else's will be someone who does a 15-second clip on TikTok, blows up, but then they get like a stand-up audience. They got the audience to drive them, but do they have the talent necessary to sustain?
Right.
Or the original, the original material.
Right.
Like, does it feel like something that's gonna have longevity towards it?
Right. And does that frustrate you sometimes to see people that might be doing like super dope, like on TikTok or whatever, but if you put them in front of a mic, in front of a crowd,
It doesn't.
they
There was a time when I didn't have other things to worry about that I would put my energy towards that. But I'm like, more power to them.
Yeah.
Even when it comes to something like boxing, where we see like YouTube guys or whatever, it's like, whatever, there's a lane for that. Let people enjoy that. It doesn't define it,
Right,
But we
right.
live in so it all goes hand in hand. We live in a time where all that shit is being promoted, and
there's always going to be an audience for something.
exactly. But the truth, it's always going to be there. It just requires a little more research on my part. It's it's kind of going back to the basics, go back to what you really enjoy. And it requires a little more research, but that's all it is.
Right.
That's,
Yeah, I think it. You need to sometimes reinvent yourself to compete. In the new mediums. Like for example, we might do a lot of music videos, but we don't necessarily do the talking heads, what I call, like the crew, on the street and front and stoop, and like we like to do like more cinematic stuff, but not everybody wants that. Everybody just wants a simple video and with me and my boys sitting on the stoop and whatever, cool. But it's not like you have to pick and choose what lane you're gonna stay in and commit to it.
Yeah.
But you just have to choose. That's it.
We're talking about rapping on the stoop. It reminded me of when you had, when you shot Sean P. And Supreme Dirtbag, love him to death. One of my favorite MCs,
Yeah.
but he forgot his verse.
Yeah,
the
God rest
video.
his soul, man. But P was
Irresponsible to say it. He was irresponsible.
it was a challenge. It was a challenge to shoot him because
I feel like a lot of hip hop dudes are like that.
yeah,
it's like
I would say right. Yeah, it's not unique to Sean P, but it was a little tough because we were supposed to start shooting daytime around and it was winter. It was cold as fuck that day. And we're supposed to start shooting early, like let's say around 3 or 4, and we started shooting at like almost 8 o'clock. And we were.
And he just showed up late.
He showed up mad late.
Was he apologetic?
Yeah. No, he was always super cool. Like that's one of the things I loved about P was that he was always really cool and joking around and
Funny dude.
Yo,
rappers around. Are some of the funniest motherfuckers I know. They're super like witty.
Yeah,
and a lot of them are very like they could be stand-up comics.
Yeah,
seriously.
P could have easily done stand-up. I remember he did like some video.
I mean, his verses are funny.
Yeah. But he was always real cool and like, all right, so you want me to sit here? And he's like, all right, cool. But when it came time to like do your verse, he was like, like, I'm like, all right, P, would you mind maybe not like covering my mouth? Like, oh, my bad. So we did like probably like 30 takes off one, maybe 2 bars. And then I was like, all right, let's just move on. I'll just, and then,
because you forgot the verse.
Right. And Fortunato, he kind of, I had proactively shot him doing P's verse during the day so I can cut in and out. I thought it'd be kind of dope to like, have him, do that kind of duet kind of vibe. But it worked out that I actually really needed those clips because, P was, was in and out with his verses. So it was like with his verse, sorry. But his antics were kind of funny because, he was, for some reason, he just he felt the need. You remember the end of the video when he got up from the stoop and then he did like a Kareem hook shot? Do you remember that? Completely off script or, off. He's like, all right, let me just do this. I'm like, okay, cool. Then we just shot it. He
was so dope.
Yeah, he was dope. He was a really nice guy.
What's crazy about it is that if you were to ask me in the early 90s who's going to blow up out of boot camp clique like that, who's going to be the leader of BCC, I would not have thought it was Sean P. I would think Buckshot or even Rockness Monster because of his voice.
Rockness is fire too. He's another one of those dudes that I would love to work with. So if you're listening or watching,
why don't you reach out to him? He has such a distinctive voice.
Yeah. I mean, again, we have such a, like a 1 degree of separation. I'm always, talking and hanging out with Steele, but it, it's one of those things that if it happens, it happens. I probably should be a little bit more aggressive with my shit, but. Even with Steele, like,
now, what do you envision with someone like a guy like Rockness? What would do you mean like a beat, or do you mean like a collaborative thing with another artist? Like, what would you right offhand? What do you foresee with a guy like that?
I mean, I think even just having either working on a whole album or maybe a couple of joints, either on one of my projects, which I'm working on right now. The Adventures of Travis Bickle. Be on the lookout. AG and General Steele. Got to talk about.
Oh, they're doing something together?
Not together. It's one of my projects that I'm like reaching out to.
So you're doing
my own K-Boogie Presents.
That's gonna be dope.
Yeah. Well, you'll see in the files that I sent you a couple of joints that are already recorded with AG. That I think you're gonna love.
So it's kind of like. What like DJ Clue with like a collaborative
right, but
album.
without me shouting my name every 2 seconds. Right. So yeah, it's gonna be.
I don't know why these DJs back in the days felt the need to do that. It was so obnoxious.
Yeah.
Do remember?
Yeah.
Clue. Funkmaster Flex did it too.
Every 5 minutes, or not even every 5 minutes, every 5 seconds.
Yeah, it was just so fucking obnoxious.
Yeah. No, I don't.
It wasn't even cool during that time. I was just cringe like, oh.
I don't do that. Yeah, because even Premiere like. He did it a couple times. He was like, Premiere, and then that's it. And then you don't really hear it until like.
Yeah, Premiere wasn't like that.
Nah, he didn't need to. His sound was like so unique. But I don't do that. I don't do that either. Like for me, it's the I might do a tag here and there, but I don't. I just let it rock. But yeah, one of those projects that I would love to have like rock on it, and Master Ace, is this Travis Bickle project.
That's the name of the project, Travis Bickle. And
no, The Adventures of Travis Bickle.
The Adventures of Travis Bickle.
So
who's Travis Bickle?
Originally, the project was called Yellow Cab Hip Hop.
Yellow Cab Hip Hop.
Right, but talking to AG, he was like, I think we should change the name, make it something a little bit more like, for people to like, who the fuck is, it's like, what's the De Niro's name in Taxi Driver? Because that's what my inspiration was in the project. It was like some real gritty New York shit, like, real gritty hip hop. And I was like, his name was Travis. And I was like, okay, Travis. I was like, Travis Bickle. It's like, all right, so let's call it like, a day in the life or the life of Travis Bickle or something like.
So that was the name of De Niro and Taxi Driver.
Yeah, so that
was an excellent film.
Love it. That's one of my favorites. And actually, the original list of beats that I made, I sampled the intro and made a beat out of it. But it kind of it's on the cutting room floor, I guess you could say, or some, so I'm not really using that. But regardless, it was the inspiration behind the project. So it was like, let's call it like the Adventures of Travis Bickle. I'm like,
is it going to be kind of like a theme? Or do you just allow these New York rappers to get on and do their thing?
Yeah, it's a little bit of that. Yeah, originally, I wanted to try and like, really, really tie it in and make it like, like a RZA type of project, like Liquid Swords that you can hear the old man, talking about the emperors, beheading the other shogun and this and that, and every single track would have a unifying kind of interlude and shit like that. But in the end, it was, I think I just wanted to let the artist rock out to, to lyrically, because, as much as I might have a story behind it, I've always preferred to hear what the artist has to say, and whatever the beat inspires them or what brings out of them, let them rock to it. I don't want to dictate and say,
and you're producing the whole thing.
Yeah.
That's dope, man. Yeah, congratulations. That's
Thank
exciting.
You, bro. Yeah. I'm really excited. And it's been a long time coming because we started,
Is this your first, like, pretty much solo project?
Yeah. Well, because the last project that I released on my own was probably like 10 years ago, if not more. I'm like Guns N' Roses, like one album every 10 years.
That's
so
exciting, man.
Yeah, man. And it's been a long time coming because really when I was really serious about the project, I was producing like nonstop for like a couple of months. I had a shitload of beats, and I remember I brought Steel into the studio at the Matrix Studios. Shout out to the Matrix Studios, my man DWI. And we're going through the beats and stuff and listening, and we're just like, we're just bugging, like, really vibing and stuff, and then nothing really happened after that. And it's funny because I remember, shout out to Steel, he's my good brother. He was saying, because I was saying, he was like, when do you want to release this? And we were in the studio around like, I want to say like October. And I said, well, I'd like to release it for like Christmas or something like that. And he's like, are you sure? I'm like, yeah. He looked at me like I was crazy.
Why was his response like that?
Because I didn't realize how, what an undertaking it is. Is that the right word?
It depends what
my ESL is, it's okay. I'm trying to.
No, I think I just don't know where you're.
Yeah, it's because it's a lot of work, just like the.
So do you think it's gonna be done sooner or
later? Way later. Yeah, he was saying like, nah, that's not.
So it's a little overly ambitious.
I think those were his words. He literally said, "It's like, nah, that's not gonna happen."
I'm like, so I took it as different. That response made it seem to me like, do you don't want to do it at Christmas? There's too much going on then.
Yeah, well, you
don't want to lose the essence of the project because there's a certain feel.
No, I took it right away. It's like, no, that's not gonna happen.
How many tracks you have cut on it?
Right now we have 4.5.
Okay.
Yeah, about 4.5.
And you want to do like a 12 track?
Yeah, about 12 track, maybe an interlude here and there, but I want to try.
I mean, it could even be.
And I want to do vinyl.
Ooh.
Yeah, I want to.
Because it could be like 6, and then part 1, then part 2.
Right. Well, that's the thing. Like,
especially with the present day, and it's with like 6 bangers, and I hear that shit again. I feel like Kanye
and make it like a collector's too.
Yes.
Like when we dropped the Taste of Ambrosia with AG. We made it like a whole vinyl set. Damn, I should have brought you, and I had copies too. I'll get you a copy. Do you have a turntable?
I do.
Okay.
I have a. I have a record player.
Yeah, but like, it doesn't have to be like a Technics, but like the Crosby's or whatever the.
Yeah, I have one of those. It's kind of a novelty one.
Yeah, the suitcase ones from like Urban Outfitters.
Yeah, that type of shit.
Listen, as long as you can rock vinyl,
I bought bulletproof wallets. Ghostface bulletproof wallets, and that shit was expensive. Vinyl's expensive.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it depends on where you get it. Like you
Yeah,
can,
I think I got dirtbagged with the price.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. You got to go to like
I know there's definitely spots where you
like
can go.
flea markets and shit to or crackheads that are willing to get rid of crates of vinyl. But yeah, when we released Ambrosia, the Taste of Ambrosia by Andre the Giant AG, we did it as colored vinyl. We did a red vinyl set, we did a blue vinyl set, and a white vinyl set. A clear, and then the regular black. So and we made it collectors at a limited number. So that's kind of what I want to do with this project. I want to really work on the cover art and the whole packaging and so.
Because there's not enough of that, man. It's
Yeah,
like, have
the
your
tangible,
real original
have a
touch.
copy of it, right?
I
Something
know.
you could frame or put down on a turntable and like on a record player and listen to and feel it and hear the
I love
the
that shit.
analog and the crackling and shit. Like that's I sometimes like literally like digitally add that to my tracks. Like I have like some plugins and stuff that add that to it and now I'm running a whole bunch of stuff like through my analog gear. I basically brought my studio home. So so I run everything through there, and it's a whole other.
How do you feel working from home? Are you more inspired, less inspired, indifferent?
It's when I'm inspired, I'll say that I do get inspired at home, but it's it's tough because I got 2 kids and I'm basically at home with them Monday to Friday, while wifey works because we had to shut down the studio. So now it's tough to get that that alone time. Even if I put on my headphones, it's still tough to disconnect and not hear what's going on outside with the kids and with the so it's like only when they're asleep and wifey's asleep, I'll put on my headphones and then that's when I can kind of like
So you find out like a certain time during the day
yeah
or night.
yeah like last night I was just an artist hit me up and wanted to do like a custom project, so I'm she sent me an acapella and I'm making a beat, so I was like on the piano and trying to catch the key and the melody and I just kind of went off on a tangent just playing the piano because I put some delays and stuff, so it was like really kind of spacey, so I was just just kind of just going off, just playing whatever, but I found myself in a little groove, and then I was like, oh shit, I got to get back to like whatever I was doing. Like that's how easy it is to sometimes get lost when you haven't been lost in a while. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I get it.
So it's like one of those moments that they're few and far between during COVID because it's there's just so much other shit going on, but but I do get inspired at home. It's just now I have to be selective with my time and really cherish that time to like really dive deep.
Yeah, I feel the same way.
Yeah.
And what I've learned most recently, I'm inspired by other artists now. And for a long time I wasn't. And when I say other artists, I don't mean it was never really been stand up. I mean,
Right.
before stand up, it was stand up, but for a long time I didn't listen to anybody else. Then during COVID, I slowed down. It wasn't about me. I said, let me just listen to some other like specials, and it made it fun again.
You know what inspired me that isn't even like hip hop production related, but it's still hip hop, was the Bobito and Stretch Armstrong on NPR.
Okay.
I started listening to their podcast. Have you listened to any of that stuff? I don't know if they're still doing it. Like it's been a minute since I listened to it, but early last year, I found out like that's how like underground it is still, even though it's NPR. But that they came back together and did this podcast, kind of like the same thing as they were doing before, late night, from NYU. But now they're doing it on a more modern digital podcast, and it was really dope, the format that they had or that they have. And just listening to, they were interviewing all kinds of people, just kind of like you interview not just comics, but you interview politicians or athletes or whatever, people that are making a change in this world or doing something, and it could be the most mundane type of, you would think is mundane, but everybody has a story to tell. Everybody has like an experience in life, and you can learn from that. And I just found it so inspiring. Some of the people's, the way that they overcame adversity, and it's like, oh, this is dope. Like, but this is still hip hop because they had, Babito. He was like, all right, so now we're gonna, do the, I forgot what it's called. I think it's called like the reaction faction or something like that. So they would play samples of 3 samples, just random from like, it could be rock, hip hop, old school hip hop, whatever, and then they would play like 30 seconds of it or 20 seconds of it, and be like, all right, how do you feel when you listen to that music? So it wasn't so much about like, oh, like those reaction videos, but it was more like, it goes back to the essence of music, like how it makes you feel. It's kind of like what I was talking before about like how I let the artist rock out, however they hear the beat and then they write to it, because that's how they absorb the beat, how they feel it. That's kind of like the essence of music to me. It's like, you can hear, you have 3 people in a room and they all hear a Dolly Parton song, but each person is going to hear it differently because of their life experience. Like that twangy thing might sound like, real corny and like, that's whack. Or other people are like, oh shit, that kind of reminds me of, when I was like little and I went horseback riding. I don't know, shit like that. But everybody has some kind of reaction to music. It's kind of like art,
Absolutely. It's funny that you say that, because when I hear the Mr. Softy truck, I think of getting my ass kicked at the age of 9. That's what kind of childhood I had. Meanwhile, most people
are ecstatic.
Right. But I hear and I remember kids coming up to me and saying, yo, shorty, come over here, and pounding me out.
Is that why you got into boxing?
I think so.
Damn, man.
Absolutely. I got my ass kicked a lot as a kid.
Man, but Lower East Side was something different back then, though.
Yeah, and then I listened to and I hold that close to me, right? But then I lost my virginity to R. Kelly. Seems like you're ready, and so even though
and now that means something different too. So.
Yeah, even though he likes to fuck the kids, there's a special place in my heart.
I was fucking something.
Yeah, I mean, there's a special place in my heart for some of his music because of that.
Right.
It's very powerful.
Yeah, man. That's funny because like that makes me think of Bill Cosby, and a friend of mine on Facebook posted something about Bill Cosby. Like she's like I don't give a fuck what you say about Bill Cosby, but everybody, they inspired families. You never saw a black family with lawyer, doctor. It inspired so many doctors and lawyers, and it's like, yeah, it's true, but then
listen,
it's like what's the name, Louis C.K. Yeah, but you ever see that bit, his bit?
About slavery.
About slavery,
yeah.
But the Holocaust is like, that's so terrible. But the Holocaust, whatever. But it's like,
and that's just the way life is.
Yeah. It's always like, what are you looking for? The silver lining for that shit?
Well, you have to look. It's all perspective.
Yeah.
I was on the podcast, it's highlighted. I used a clip off of it. But Mark Norman is so funny. We were talking about like this losing shit during COVID, and he was like, and I mentioned, I was like, oh,
like losing family, like members
losing anything.
or like anything.
Yeah,
okay.
But we just gotta be happy we're not pedophiles. That's how.
I think I did see that.
It's a huge weight off our shoulders. It's all perspective, is what I'm trying to say.
What was the bit that you were saying? Something like, I like kids, but I don't want to fuck them. Like, is that what you saying?
No, I didn't say that.
Something like that. I'm pretty sure he said something like that.
I'm
like, yeah, that's a silver lining, I guess. Like,
it's silver lining.
Ped means, pedo means loving, I guess.
Does it?
I think so.
I don't know. I don't know how to break that. I probably should. I've been talking about it enough.
Philo means
love. Philo pastry. That's what I'm thinking of.
Right, like philo. Oh no, philo. Damn, man, my Latin's. I gotta study up on my Latin. Like philosophy.
I have to fart so bad, but I'm trying not to be a real DB on the DBS podcast. There's a lot going on here. Because I ate ice cream 2 times over yesterday. Yo, my wife gets emotionally, distraught at the sight of me eating something that brings me so much pleasure. Once she sees me open the freezer,
lactose intolerant, so I can't even do that shit.
And that white light hits my face, and she says, "You can eat ice cream." She tightens her lip, her nostrils get very pointy. She sticks her butt out, keeps her hands firmly by her side, and just walks very straight. Like, she gets so mad.
Is that your comfort food?
I just like sweets, man. And yeah, so ice cream, and I had it 2 times over, and I was throwing some dirtbag like farts, bro. I mean, and she was. you know, they're so upset, and I can sleep, and I get
Maybe
defensive.
that's because you're lactose intolerant too.
I totally am.
And
totally
you still
am.
have ice cream.
Yeah, like a like a dirtbag.
It's like, oh yeah, watch him eat 2 tubs of it.
Yeah, two times over.
Oh shit. Yeah, I can't do that. I wouldn't even. That I would be locked in the toilet like for hours after that.
Yeah, it'll fuck you up, man.
Yeah, man. I can't do that
It'll
shit.
put you on your ass.
Yep.
For real.
Yep. That's funny, man.
Yeah. So if I don't have those pills handy, it's trouble.
The lactate pills.
Yeah.
Yep. I live and die with those.
You're like leaving the house.
It's
Mask, keys, lactose
up,
pills.
lactate. Well, back when we used to go to restaurants, which is probably starting up a little bit more. But I'm like, lactate pills because I know there's gonna be some dessert today. So I'm like preparing.
Yes, instead of
the fat kid in me is like,
yeah,
the fat kid is
well, most people keep their cocaine
right,
in that little small pocket.
in that little pocket. Yep.
That's where you
right
keep your
there.
lactase pills.
Yep. Yeah. By the way, before I forget.
I don't do coke anymore. No, thank you.
Oh, okay, so never mind.
He's about to give me some.
All right, carry on.
Chilean cocaine.
No,
What you got for me, Bob? You got a gift for me?
It was actually some ground lactate pills.
Oh, that.
Yo, I got some.
That's dirtbag shit. When I was actively using drugs, I would sniff anything. I one time after I cut my finger, I got Vicodin and one pill like I cut out like 50 lines, and me and my boy were just fucking sniffing. And I remember when we was in an apartment, he had a Jesus cross, and I was like, "Oh fuck, man, can you turn that shit around?"
He's like judging me.
Yeah.
You know, speaking of sniffing, did you hear that now there's what do they call it? Bumpables.
What's that?
You know, like edibles, like weed edibles.
Okay.
Now there's bumpables, like you snort that shit. I don't know if I'm bugging, but I'm pretty sure I saw it somewhere.
That is adorable, hilarious, and supremely dangerous.
Right? They could have called it something else, but bump.
Yeah, that's really trying to target the young
the teddy bear
demographic.
generation.
Yeah, like the kids, like they're trying to target kids with that shit.
Bumpables.
Let's look into it.
Word, bumpables.
So
Let's
what you
do
got
some
me? What you
Bumpables.
got me? You got me bumpables?
No, hold on. Let me move this.
He got gifts. He comes with gifts. I like it, man. This guy's classy.
So you can take your choice, but
He got his environment-friendly Target.
Flash, yes, and you can keep the bag if you want. Official flash style, so
Ooh.
mixed colors, or you can do the.
That says fly style.
Yes, sir.
Wild style.
That's my original wild style designs.
Appreciate you, man. Thank you. So I get to choose. I think I'm gonna go with the Met colors. You can say Knicks. I'm going with this
Yeah,
one.
that's actually Met colors too.
Yeah. Speaking of cocaine, 86 Mets.
Wait, didn't what's his name just die? Carter.
Thank you. Gary Carter?
Gary Carter.
Yo, dogs, man. What kind of news station you on? He died like 12 years ago.
No, wait.
Yeah, Gary Carter. And it's a shame.
I thought he died like less than
No,
that,
Gary
like
Carter,
six
and it was a
years ago.
shame because he died of cancer.
Damn,
You know?
my bad.
Yeah, he died.
Well, this is the
the DBS podcast.
right. Fuck cancer.
Yeah, no, DMX died a couple of weeks ago. I mean, we lose him. Listen, the fact of the matter is, all this shit is too short. We have to enjoy ourselves.
Yeah.
We can't take anything too serious. If you're an artist, pump out the fucking work. You know how much we hold
Don't
on
sit
to
on
shit?
your music.
Yes, like I'm
That's my advice to all artists. Is like just put it out.
Do you feel like you need to take your own advice? I do.
Yeah, I definitely do.
Because I've been holding on, putting out a comedy album for too long, and I'm doing it. I'm just gonna do it.
Yeah, for me, it's like, I got beats and I'll send them out. Like, actually, just recently, one of my boys over from Vancouver, he just hit me up with this Latin artist, this rapper, super dope. And he's like, yo, I'm working on this project with this dude. Send me a YouTube link. I'm like, oh shit, that dude's pretty dope. So I'm like, you want to send some beats? I'm like, yeah. And so, so little by little, I'm kind of like throwing my shit, putting my shit back out again. And yeah, I definitely got to follow my own, advice for sure.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, what's the point of it's like Bronx Tales, like, what's it? There's no worse thing than wasted talent, and there's no worse thing than wasted beats.
Yeah, and also just fucking put it out. We have it in our mind. We create this noise in our head, like.
And to everybody else, it's new. To you, like I get, the same thing. Like I get a lot of artists like, yeah, but it's it's kind of old. It's like to you, it's old, but to everybody else is new. Nobody else has ever heard it.
Top 5 Dead or Alive.
Oh man.
I need it. We need that. We need that from the producer, K-Boogie. I mean,
Okay.
what's good?
AG for sure, not because I'm biased. Again,
Which, by the way,
I'm gonna go top 3 because maybe I'm biased, but because they are.
and it's Showbiz and AG. One of my favorite albums of all time, Goodfellas album.
Hell yeah.
That shit. I mean, it just has a consistent sound. It sounds like a
Yeah.
recording of the times.
And
Classic hip hop album.
Runaway Slave 2. I remember you had a little.
Yeah, I love that album.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
so we
man.
got AG, one. We got 4 more.
Pudgy for sure. I want to go with
Pudgy the Fat Bastard. I remember him on a
Yeah.
Double R tape.
Yeah,
back
yeah,
in the days.
Yeah. Damn, this is a tough one, but in no order. All right. KRS for sure. Rakim.
KRS, clear, crisp.
KRS Rakim.
Is he still composing music? I mean, I need to get me a KRS.
I mean, he's done I think he's still working on a couple of projects. He's always coming out with shit. Like I don't think he'll ever like retire.
Rakim, I was reading his book. I didn't know he was so into football. He was like a football player.
I think it's a Long Island thing.
Yeah,
A lot of Long Island artists like they're like into sports a lot.
Yeah, I think
like Chuck D's all like really into sports and shit. Like
yeah, Rakim doesn't fucking curse either, which is wild.
he made that. I was gonna say that earlier. He's he's made a
Rarely uses
career-
current day slang either. That's why his stuff is
Yeah,
timeless.
Yeah, I was with Steele. I was at his crib recently, and we were talking about like, it's like I don't even feel comfortable saying the word lit.
I know. Or facts. I'm too old for that shit.
Yeah, well, facts is played out though.
Is
I
it?
think.
Yeah, I never got. I couldn't get to facts. I
I
couldn't
write
get
it.
to lit.
I write it more than I say it.
I never got to facts. I never got to lit.
I can't say lit. I feel like I'm trying to do the Dougie, and even the Dougie's like played out, like way played out. But
Yeah, dogs. I'm too old for that shit.
yeah,
I let the
yeah.
kids run with that one.
I don't think I even got into the word dog either though.
Or cap.
It's you know what? One of the joints that with AG we recorded a couple of years ago for this project, it's called No Caption. This is way before people started saying like no cap.
That's probably where it originated from, something like that. Right?
Yeah. So we're ahead of our time.
Yeah, there you go.
Yep.
So we got Rakim, we got KRS, we got Pudgy the Fat Bastard.
I'm already running out.
You got one more, Pa. Come
Damn,
on,
man. I gotta go with Pun. How can you? But man, I don't know, man. Because I could go with Ghostface. I could go with Jizza. Inspect the Deck. Like I can go through the whole Wu-Tang and say,
Yeah.
oh yeah, that one. Oh yeah.
I know.
It's tough. It's tough because each one, Kane, Big Daddy Kane, like each one is so dope on their own because they were so different. Like all KRS, Rakim, AG, you can't put them side by side. They're all apples, oranges, grapes. Like they're all just different fruits.
Isn't it wild how you have certain artists, and I see this with comics, I see this with hip hop artists. So we got like a rapper like Ghostface, who his music, although it could be very abstract at times,
Right.
he can paint this vivid
Yeah.
picture, storytelling.
A's like that. AG's like that, and he's so underrated.
And it's amazing to me. And then, like in the interview, they're good, but it's like the music is where their strength is at. Like talking on over a beat.
Right.
You know, Nas is like that.
Yeah.
He doesn't give a great interview. But
Same
his
with Rakim.
music-
Rakim, as much as I love Rakim, and shout out to Rakim, his interviews are snooze fest.
But his music.
But when he's behind the mic, but it happens to a lot of artists. A lot of people, they're very like, very I guess introverted and in person or whatever. But
Yeah, and it's almost like, haven't I given you guys enough? Now you want me to be entertaining on the fucking
transform.
interview?
When they hit the stage, you're like, yo, who is that?
Yeah.
Like that's not the person that I just talked to.
I feel like Nas is like that. Rakim is like that.
Yeah, but
Ghostface
little by
is-
little, he's getting better at interviews because he's done so many documentaries and like so much film work that he's getting better and better at like being in front of a camera, like speaking, just day to day conversation.
Yeah.
Not like Jay. Jay, he's like.
Did you come from a musical family? Like, was your apartment littered with like instruments? Fucking, you wake up, there was like a recorder near you, and
You know what?
You go to the bathroom, there's a saxophone by the toilet and a keyboard.
Now that I'm looking at that, there's a guitar over there. You can't see it, but
So your family is very
yeah,
musical family?
on my mom's side. On my mom's side, everybody plays guitar. Everybody sings. Everybody plays like the folkloric stuff. Like
New Year's is lit at your crib.
yeah. Like and I grew up. My mom and dad they were party animals. Not they, they weren't like the crazy, but I remember every single weekend there was parties at our crib, like, and playing Bee Gees, playing music all night, and you go to bed and you can still smell the smoke. Like those are the memories that I have.
Yeah.
Or they made me and my sister like dance in the middle. They would play, like Saturday Night Fever and shit like that. So they would have us dancing, and so yeah, definitely. My mom plays guitar, so like, even though she tried to teach me guitar, I know a couple of chords here and there. But yeah, definitely my on my mom's side, everybody sings, everybody plays instruments, like mostly guitar, because Latinos, like, that's pretty much all we play is guitar.
My uncle was like that. He used to visit my mom and stay for long periods of time. We lived in the projects, and he had cases of congas and all sorts.
Yeah.
He was really talented,
Yeah.
and it was just all over the place.
Flutes, because even living in
flutes.
Venezuela too, like, we used to have flutes and guitars, like, like on the walls and stuff, and so that it was very, it was very typical for us.
He had a fucking beautiful flute. It was like silver, and I couldn't fucking play it. I used to get so mad. So he
ours is like zampoñas, like, or the, what do you call what's it called in English? The wood.
It's like a bamboo, right?
Yeah, the pan flute, I think it's called.
Yeah, but they're not bamboo. Bamboo's way wider, but it's like that color.
Yeah. It could be bamboo.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Baby bamboo. Baby bamboo.
Shout out to Bamboo from Bay Area. He's another artist. I
thought you were talking about Fredro Starr. Fredro Starr. Onyx is a fun rap group.
Yeah. Onyx.
I mean, that's a hard gimmick to keep up, though. You got to be angry all the time.
Yeah. Well, it's like MOP. MOP is
but
like
I feel like MOP is really like that. And maybe, like, I feel
you
like
mean
that's
like as individuals, like,
yeah, I feel like they scream
like
when they
stomp
talk.
and
Onyx to me seemed a little more orchestrated, a little more like, this is what
I don't know, man. They're both pretty.
they talk from here.
They both crews need hugs. They're both pretty angry, equally angry.
I enjoyed Onyx.
I love Onyx. I love Onyx and MOP. Those are like,
it's like rap, rock and roll.
Yeah, but I can't listen to them when I'm driving because I start.
It makes
wilding.
you nervous.
Yeah, no, I start wilding. I'm like, yeah, I can't do that. It gives me road rage.
Do you remember the first? do you find that?
Yeah.
So you know what I listened to keep me like.
And the
stand
Prodigy.
out?
The Prodigy. And if anybody knows about the
Oh
Prodigy.
yeah, Fat of Land.
Yeah,
Breathe,
yeah.
Firestarter, Smack My
Smack My
Bitch
Bitch Up. Yeah, that shit gives me like mad road rage.
I was so annoyed. He one of those guys died too.
Keith Eliam, or the lead, that was another tragic loss. And he was also trying to clean up his life too, and
Hey, you know what? He left a lot behind. We're gonna be fucking mosh pitting.
Yeah, forever.
I'll be mosh pitting with my daughter in the crib with ankle socks, with a python around my neck, and a pit bull biting on my feet because of you, because of the Prodigy's music.
Prodigy.
I love that shit.
I actually saw him live in Chile back in like 90.
That must have been sick.
Crazy. There's people like in it was like a small stadium, but there are people from like the second level or whatever jumping like 12 feet down just to get into the lower level. It was crazy.
That is wild.
Yeah, it was fucking crazy. Because everybody's moshing up there, so people like ants just falling over.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's a sight.
Yeah. Chileans get pretty crazy with.
So the other day I got into this wormhole and I was looking up mosh pits. And it was just like white boys fucking headbutting each other. And I was like, no wonder you guys have no fucking rhythm, so you just forced to headbutt each other with no helmets.
Right. Maybe that gives them the beat.
Oh, it was fucking awful. Like it was like Slayer, and it was like.
Yeah, I could never get into that kind of music.
That's tough listening.
I used to love some of my musical background is punk, but like Suicidal Tendencies, like that shit. Because I used to skate back in the day too, so I used to listen to a lot of like.
You used to watch Jenko Jeans,
surf punk.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so like Suicidal Tendencies, even like going back to like kind of electronic shit like Zig Zig Sputnik. I don't know if you ever heard of them.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, like all that shit was like really, like.
Do you feel like it influences some of your music now?
Definitely.
That's dope.
Yeah, definitely between like that, Planet Rock, all that electronic shit, Kraftwerk, all that shit, Boogie Down Productions, all that has influenced.
Do you remember the first album you bought that felt like your discovery of hip hop? Like the first album. I'm not saying the first one you listened to, because I feel like that could be different. But like the first physical copy. Before we go, I definitely want to know.
Well, my first two hip hop records that I ever bought was Run DMC, Raising Hell. and Fat Boy's Crushin'. And I think, three, and LL Cool J, I'm Bad.
Okay.
Those 3 records, I think, you know what? I think LL falls into that category because it was like, I was hearing so many different things, like even sample wise and reading the cover. That's one thing about buying vinyl is that they used to put all the sample information and all these things, and you could see like James Brown and blah blah blah, and like, oh shit, okay, so and then because of that, I started getting into James Brown. And because of that,
it
I started
allows you
getting
to explore a bit more.
Yeah, like thanks to hip hop, my musical taste just started to like broaden and broaden and broaden because, you're like, you want to know where this music comes from, which not everybody does, per se just listening to hip hop, but it's one of those things like, oh, where does this sample come from? Oh, from the meters. Who are the meters? Like, so you start like going to the record stores, and back then you can't Google it. So I was going to the record stores and looking for the meters, and I'm like, oh shit. So I bought a copy of the meters of or the JBs. I bought a copy of the JBs, and I was like, oh shit, this is a sample from from Rakim, from Paid in Full. Oh shit.
Yeah, it's always fun when you listen to like an old school song. It's like, oh, that's where the sample's from.
Yeah,
I feel like there's a station that does a lot of that music. I don't remember the station, but there's a station I was listening to not too long ago, and every song
was in a jazz station.
No, it was more like
that
an R&B.
happened to like play all these Bill
R&B.
Withers music.
Yes,
that like I
yes.
didn't know it was Bill Withers until I was maybe like, I don't know, 16, 17. I was like, oh shit. So that's where, and then Smith and Wesson. Speaking of Smith and Wesson, just the two of us. The beginning of Recognize. The like that whole intro is from that Bill Withers joint. And I was like, and then when I heard the Bill Withers joint, it's like, oh, you're like, oh, you put it together. It's like, oh, that's a Smith and Wesson sample. Oh shit, So hip hop educates.
It most certainly does, man.
Well, it used to, at least.
Yeah, I mean, there was a time where, like, especially with like Gangstar and all the, I mean, it made it.
Yeah.
It made you. It would encourage the youth to be smart.
Yeah.
And to do the knowledge.
Jazzmatazz, when that shit came out, you're like,
Yeah,
okay, so he's really going into that jazz shit, and then even in his lyrics, he'd be like, Coltrane, da 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 da, this and that, and you're like, oh shit, Coltrane, okay, dope, and then he would say some other names, and you're like, oh, who is that? It's like, oh, Ahmad Jamal, who's Ahmad Jamal? Like, so you start discovering all these artists, and oh, Bob James, Bob James, that's I don't know if you know who Bob James is, but he did the theme for Taxi.
Okay.
And he did.
Going back to.
Yeah, but Taxi the show with the.
Oh, the
with
show.
Yeah,
the comedy. Yeah.
You can add beats to it if you want.
Yeah. That was a fun show.
Right. Yeah. So he did that, but that's what he's kind of known for. One of the things, but he did probably the most famous sample was a song called Nautilus. That you hear on Daytona 500, Ghostface. That's from Nautilus. Even going back to Run DMC, Peter Piper. The bells. That's also from.
Which been used.
That's also Bob
over and
James.
over.
Yeah, Bob James. He's probably the most sampled jazz artist in history.
We can't forget that. So. Had I been given a lesson on the current events via news, that shit just didn't hit me. But when I was in 1992, when I discovered Ice Cube's death certificate, right?
I had the CD that came in that
yes,
rectangle.
that's what I bought.
And I actually had it like pasted in my room.
It was long.
Yeah.
And
with the toe, the green and all that.
Right.
That was one of the illest albums. The Ice Cube death certificate. Wow.
So it was
no Vaseline.
Yeah.
What?
I mean, from beginning to end, that was an album that really
Black Korea,
like,
especially during that time, like
it was
Rodney
a recording
King
of the times.
That shit just gave me chills because that brought me back to again what music means. It should be a reflection of the times.
Absolutely.
Like, Ice Cube was talking about so much shit, the tension between blacks and Koreans, and LA riots, and like there's so much undertones. It wasn't just a black and white thing, but it was like, there was so much tension already in in the hood, like, between blacks and then people, whether it was white or the Koreans that are that open up shop and were, I guess you could say in a sense, taking advantage of the neighborhood. And like you don't see so many liquor stores in upscale neighborhoods. They're all in the hood. You don't see so many gun shops. They're all in the hood, like. So, and they're all, unfortunately, they were Korean owned. And so a lot of those tensions that, that flared up, no pun intended, a lot of the Koreans got the I guess the brunt of it, like a lot of their shops. So,
Absolutely.
So that song, Black Korea, and again, I didn't know, there's so many things that you just don't find out about until like later or looking back into history. When the girl got shot by the Korean store owner, that little girl, I don't know if you know that case in it was in I think it was in Watts or Compton.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
And when she was just angry, and then the lady just pulled out a gun and shot the little girl. And then you listen to the song Black Korea on
It
Certificate.
represented the tension between that.
Deep.
A man's best friend. Remember that? He was talking in reference to his dog, but he was talking about his gun.
Right.
And
yeah.
There was another song, Be True to the Game.
Yeah. Or was it the Bird in the Hand also?
Bird in Hand.
Yeah.
Was,
I got chills again, bro.
I mean, these are very important songs.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we're still dealing with a lot of those problems present day.
Yeah. The more it's funny.
I was watching a YouTube clip with J. Rule the Damager and Lauryn Hill, and this took place like in 1993.
The freestyle.
Yeah.
Yep.
And there was a guy interviewing them, and Liz, my wife, was. Let's just say that because J. Rule is very intelligent, articulate, and so is Lauryn Hill.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
she was like, "Who is that? They're talking about something that just happened." I'm like, "Babe, this is 35 years old."
Yeah, and it was it was a cipher, right? It was
yes.
Like, yeah.
So the thing is, when we're faced with that reality, it's just like we're fighting the same fight socially. There's a lot of things that are the same. So I have to resign to really taking care of like my family and the people I care about, because that's a little discouraging.
It's disheartening. It's disheartening. Yeah. Like I was gonna say that we had some family visiting on the weekend, and one of our family friends, he's an up and coming filmmaker. So so I was I'm kind of like mentoring him. And right now I'm doing the sound mixing for a horror flick. And so he's always been messaging me. He's from Austin. And so he's always been messaging me like, hey, what do you think about this? Or he'll send me little projects that he shot out, from school, whatever. But, as we were sitting there, he was over and we were sitting in front of my workstation and just kind of going through like some of our company's work and stuff. And even little documentaries that I shot, with the Millions. Do you remember the Millions March?
Yeah.
Eric Garner stuff, like all that. And there's one part where I interviewed this dude, this black dude with his son. The guy was probably, I don't know, like in his 30s, and his kid was, I want to say maybe 2 or 3. And this is way before I had kids, way before. I think when Indy and I were still dating, wifey, and so we're watching this, and the guy's talking about like growing up and with all the racial inequality and the police violence, and this is probably about like 6 or 7 years ago, and then he was talking about his son.
I mean, these are things that every father worries about. It's because it's so hard to talk about because you get frustrated. I've lived in a couple different places, visited 35 states, 15 different countries, and I've seen it on all levels. I was in the Marines, seen it a lot in there. So a lot of people think that it doesn't exist and nobody sees you and just automatically get some kind of negative thought in your head. And I have 2 sons, so having 2 boys, you worry about them because anything could happen at any given time. Whether it's playing with a toy gun, walking down the street at the wrong time, in the wrong area, in the wrong neighborhood, having the wrong kind of hair or haircut. My oldest son has dreads. So now that means he smokes weed, and my son is naive as hell. And he's tall, he's 5'11". He just went to 9th grade. So it's easy to see him as like a man because he's real tall, he has long hair, strong features, but he's a little naive kid.
And that made me think like, man, I wonder what, where he is now. And then as I was looking at my, I guess he would be like my I'm like my cousin. But anyway, I was looking at him, I was like, man, the more things change, the more things stay the same. Like you could watch this, and just like with Liz, you could watch this now, and you're thinking, did you interview him yesterday? It's like, no, this was 6-7 years ago, which even then it was like it's still happening. You know, Bratton was still commissioner, and he has a horrible record as well. So it's like there's so much shit that, you know, and that's just in New York. You go to L.A. and do you remember the commissioner in L.A. during the Rodney King era? I can't remember for the life of me what his name is.
I remember he was a dirtbag.
Yeah, but his family all run other police. They're all commissioners, or they're all like in the PBAs and those. Like so, the same people are in the system. They're still in the system, causing the same shit, creating the same policies that affect black and brown people, and we haven't gone anywhere. Like we're still stuck in the same cycle.
Yeah.
And it kind of angered me, because now I'm like, you know, I have my son and my daughter, and I'm like, you know, and I remember when they were born, you know, even my mother-in-law was like, you know, during the Trump, when everything's happening with Trump, she's like, how do you feel about bringing a life into this world the way, you know, things are right now? I'm like, I don't know. Take it one day at a time. Like, you know, it's just, like you said, you just have to roll with it and, you know, try to talk with your kids and not let them fall into, you know, into that craziness, you know. I don't know. I just kind of went off on a tangent.
No,
it's crazy.
It's an important thing. When I hear about people who are concerned about that, it's just shit, man. We can't allow ourselves to become like a product of that noise, because there's so much more in our world.
There's so much shit that you can't control that, you know, you can get caught up. Like you said, you can get caught up. Like, I don't want my kids to go out and play.
Yeah,
like,
that's what I'm saying. So, you know, I separate that.
It's like COVID. Like, you know, even though I got to wear a mask, it's not gonna stop my life. I'm still gonna go out and do stuff.
That's what I'm saying. You know, a lot of what we're doing, it really is happening. There's no doubt.
Right.
But a lot of the shit is noise in our head. Like my interactions with everyday people is really pleasant most of the time. A lot of what I feel heavy and negative about is news I consume.
Yeah,
you know, it doesn't really happen.
Yeah.
And granted, like I'm in the mix. I'm in the city. I see junkies. I see some violent shit, but it still doesn't penetrate my world.
Yeah, you still keep it moving. Like,
yeah. But I want to be socially responsible. I want to be. But what I'm
saying, I think that's a New Yorker thing, though.
Yeah,
I think, you know,
it is. But I also, you know, say it's how I allow myself to think and how I
to either let it penetrate or not.
Right. So you know, my curiosity about art, about music, about a better, you know, things that are really good dominate the way I feel.
Like, you ever stop and actually talk to like a complete stranger and say, "Yo, hey, you know, I like your tattoos," or, you know, and it could be like a you know, 90-year-old man with like some crazy tattoos, and then all of a sudden you start telling you about his, you know, he grew up, you know, in the, like, for example, where we had our first studio in Greenpoint. I met this dude walking his dog. I was coming out of the studio, it was late night, and he's like, and he just asked me randomly, he's like, "Oh, do you live around here?" I'm like, "No, I have my studio here." I'm like, and then I said, "Do you live around here?" You know, and then he's like, "Yeah, I've lived here my whole life," and he's probably like in his 70s. And he's like, "Yeah."
And he gave me like a recap.
Yeah, he was like, "I remember when this building used to be, you know, like there was a thrift shop now on the corner of Greenpoint and West. And at the very end, right by the water, by Transmitter Park. So there's a thrift store that's there, which I don't know how they make money. I don't think it's a front, but that's a whole other story. But, you know, he's like, "Yeah, that used to be a bar where it was like a police, you know, all the cops used to hang out there, you know, from the precinct that's, you know, down on Manhattan, whatever. And but they used to also like socialize with all the gangsters that used to be in the area too." And
Super
then,
interesting.
Yeah, and then he was like, "Yeah, and you know what? They used to actually, there was what's that? Donnie Brasco, the movie Donnie Brasco. So they filmed that bar where they used to hang out. It was like 2 blocks down from there. And then I asked him, I was like, "Oh, is that bar down there?" Then he's like, "Yeah, that's what that was their clubhouse. 2 blocks away from where the cops used to hang out." So it was like, this is what, like back in the 50s or no, in the 70s or whatever, 70s, 60s, and it was like, it was so crazy just to just talk to random people like that, and they give you like this history about the neighborhood.
It was long ago, but it wasn't that long ago.
Right.
It wasn't
right.
like back in the days when they were
But
calling.
some of those dudes are still alive.
Yeah, it wasn't like back in the days when they were calling cops flatfoot. Hey, flatfoot.
Right.
Hey, get
Hey,
over here,
copper.
flatfoot. Hey, copper. And people used to rob banks with their bag behind their back and lead with their legs
Right.
and their pelvis. Hey, copper. Bang, bang.
Oh shit! Yeah.
Oh man,
But yeah,
K.
man, it's it's one of those things. Life is like that. I think you just gotta open
we
yourself up
can't-
to other experiences and not let it the bad shit penetrate you and just not
Yeah,
enough.
man. Listen to some art, right?
Yeah.
Fucking read books.
Like this shit is dope, by the way. I never
Oh,
got
thank
a
you,
chance
man.
to tell
Thank you.
like,
My son-in-law, Tony Torado, he has
Fire.
a comic book out. And that's what it is. Like, I would love to collaborate all the people who I'm interested and curious about, who are supremely talented, guys like you. My Tony who did this, myself. I just think there's so much to this world, and I mean our immediate world that's so fucking great and things to look forward to.
Yeah.
That during these times where it's so easy to be consumed by the bullshit. It's like it's a conscious effort to fight that off, and it's from the ground up. It's how I treat myself and how I treat others, and it has to be that way because I can't succumb to what the news and people
You
who
nailed it.
It's crazy.
I like during the Trump era, which seems so.
Which is
so-
like 6 hours
so
ago.
long ago, right?
But it feels like long ago.
Yeah, I used to consume so much news.
Nah, it's too. You can't play yourself like that. And
Yeah,
it
it was
stifles your
toxic.
it stifles your
becomes
creativity.
Toxic, yeah.
It stifles your
yeah.
creativity.
Because sometimes, and I'm hardly ever on Facebook, but whenever I used to go on Facebook, I would realize how backwards some of my friends are on Facebook, or
Yeah,
people
and
that I used to
and-
respect. That I'm like, why would you think that?
But also before we close out, I will respond to that a lot of people, even though they put the most ignorant shit on a post or whatever, it doesn't really define who they
Define
are.
them,
It's a snippet of their reaction towards something. It's almost like a drunk response because they're not really dealing with the person.
Yeah.
And that's me softening up with the bullshit they're saying, even though what they're saying could be really wrong. But a lot of times that doesn't define who they really are. It's just a reaction towards something they're mad about. But because of the social media platform, they kind of get away and hide behind that.
Unless
a little
they're
more.
looking for the but about slavery,
Right.
or they put some ignorant shit that you're like, yeah, I didn't know you were racist like that.
Yeah, they
at
will
all.
reveal that. They will reveal that on there.
Right,
But you know what I did? I just eliminated that shit from my
Yeah,
life.
you know what? At one point, I was commenting, and I'm like, you know what? Fuck this.
Yeah,
I'm
fuck
just gonna
that.
unfriend, and I don't need to, what's the word? Engage. But then you're right. At some point, you need to just make the choice not to engage, and just
we
keep
have
it
that
moving.
choice, is
Right.
what I'm saying.
Right.
And I have the choice to either engage in that petty bullshit, that backward shit that's, really does nothing for me but make me angry.
Angry, right.
Or I could get involved in more creative shit to
Right.
fuel my spirit and what I really want to contribute
Yeah.
to this world.
Yeah, I think for me, it kind of also helped me help others to, what do you call it? Give them a voice to, either through interviews, through other types of, promoting other, social awareness campaigns, whatever's going on. Like I repost certain things, like to bring awareness to, whatever's going on in the world or what matters to me. And, so that's the way that I kind of, I guess you could say,
Used it.
I manifest my my activism,
Right.
So.
So if the project is not coming out in December, when do you anticipate, and how can people get a hold of it? Because you're halfway done.
Yeah, eventually.
That's exciting.
It's gonna be on on all the major streaming platforms, on Spotify.
And it's Travis.
The Adventures of Travis Bickle.
The Adventures of Travis Bickle. I can't wait to hear that. That's dope, man.
it's-
Congratulations
Thank
on the
you, bro.
on the endeavor and the work in progress.
And congratulations to you too. I love your podcast. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
I was
Be
really
Frank
excited
Network
to-
is the network I'm a part of, and they're
Yes.
great. This is
Yeah.
Sound Lounge Studio. I'm absolutely
shout out
loving
to
it. We're having a
Sound
good time.
Yeah.
And yeah, that is our episode, people. Subscribe, comment. I know it's generic, and I say this after every episode, but I need you guys to do it. Yo, send a comment out.
Hit the like button.
It gets, it gets the
subscribe.
algorithm up. Let's shake it up. You know what I'm saying? It was fantastic having you, homeboy.
Thank you, bro.
My man.
Thank you so much.
Yo, I got a hat. Yo, to all the guests, step up your game. Look, I got a hat out this motherfucker. Meanwhile, all you guys do is steal little waters and bring them to your crib. Like, contribute.
And don't forget to follow us on Instagram and social media, Spanish Fly Media, and at K-Boogie Beats with a Z.
There you go.
Keep up.
Appreciate you guys. That's the DBS podcast. We out, man. Peace.